Welcome back, everyone. This is round round 8 of the Championnat de Paris. One more round left, and going into this game here, I was at 3 wins out of, 3 wins out of those 7 rounds. Ow, my cat is biting me. So let's take a look at this. I am playing the white pieces against Jean-Marc, who is rated 1657. So I am slightly higher rated here. And let's just dive right into it. D4, knight f6. This might look familiar, like another game that I showed from this tournament. Bishop f4, g6, e3, bishop g7, knight f3, d6, h3. So I happen to really like this. I just happen to really like playing against this line. You guys will see why, but if you've watched some of my rapid games online, you've probably seen a lot of games from this position where it's just kind of an easy not forced win, but a very easy forced line if black plays into it. So they go, instead of castling first, he goes knight d7. And just to give you guys an idea here, this is all theory for me, so I'm playing the moves basically instantaneously. He took a little bit of time to think, but no crazy time difference here. Bishop e2, castles, rook e8, and this is what you want to look out for. So if you guys are watching this and you're not already familiar with this play, go ahead and pause the video, try to see what black is threatening and how white can respond to it. So the response here is, well, you just don't do anything. I'm trying to remember what I even did. Yeah, so I went knight c3. This is new for me. I typically would not like doing this, putting the knight in front of the pawn, but I've been going for the kind of Jobava setup. Sometimes the computer just wants knight c3, and c3 just seems a bit too passive. Knight d2 would be a mistake. We'll see why. Because my opponent is obviously preparing e5. The London system, in particular London system against the King's Indian, is all about the e5 push and whether it works or not. And in this case, it doesn't. This is a premature e5, but it is so common. So if you play this as the black pieces, guys, you have to know this. This does not work. Your opponent might not know, so they might not punish you for it, but this does not work because of takes, knight takes, which gets a brilliant move. If, just to show you guys, if they were to take here, you take the queen, displacing the rook, and then you grab back and you're a pawn up, threatening to take another pawn. In fact, oftentimes you do win that. Black is already worse. So that's one continuation. There's nothing, black can get kind of clever, as my opponent did. Instead of just, taking that knight and going into that line, he jumped the knight forward to e4, try to make things, more complicated and ambiguous, but it doesn't really do much. I still have that pawn, so I just took on e4. So I was looking at this move and I'm curious. I did not opt for this because of takes, and then takes. Is it maybe like takes? What's the move here? Takes, bishop c4 check, king's forced over somewhere. Let's say king f8, bishop takes c7. Okay, interesting. So that was so I take here, and then knight takes c3 as the best move. They also have queen f6, but then I can just, wait, what? It just said queen f6. Oh, queen e7. Okay, well, anyways, I was looking at that move. I decided not to play it. Honestly, might as well just keep things simple, right? Like, I know I'm up a pawn. I'm just going to take that knight, let him take, and trade down a bunch of pieces, which is nice for me because I'm up material. I went queen d3 here. The computer just wants knight back to c3, and I kind of see in hindsight why, because this knight ended up becoming a little bit of a liability, and my position became a little bit awkward. But so I just went queen d3, obviously. The plan here is really simple for white. You're a pawn up, and you just want to take over the d file because none of these, there's no weaknesses like at all, and it's hard for black to attack any weaknesses. Okay, the knight can jump in, but this is covered right now. This bishop's still trapped, so like just take over the d-file, trade down pieces, and then win. That was basically my thought here. Queen d7, queen e7, bishop f3. I figured how bad can it be putting this bishop on the diagonal? It'll make it harder for this guy to leave, and I have to protect the knight. Again, I could have just probably jumped the knight back to c3, but I was also not loving this. I was like, no, I don't like the knight jumping in, giving him that. Queen d4. So it looks like, yeah, queen d4, and it's just okay, but yeah. We get to this position, and boom, he goes knight c5. And I saw this move coming. I was a little bit scared. Yeah, I was a little bit scared because there's some tactics here, but I decided, well, you know what? Let's just go for it. I had to do a little bit of calculating. Obviously, bishop takes h3 is kind of a threat here. At least it's to be considered. It needs to be looked at. So takes, rook takes, and I'm just curious here. Bishop takes h3 is a move, but it's not good. It's one of the top 3 engine moves, but it's winning for white. So just to show you guys, let's see. Let's go to this line. So here takes, what would I respond? This is my question. Which is b4. Okay, wow, that is not what I was expecting. b4. It's just kind of scary, like maybe the rook coming over and my king can't really slide over yet. So that doesn't work. He took back with the rook, and then I took a pretty long think here. I think like at this point, guys, I took like 30 minutes, 20 or 30 minutes, because I really wanted to make sure there was no bishop takes h3. I wanted an easy, simple game. So I took a while to contemplate, think this out, and I decided to play rook f to d1. Very, very important to me, at least, because I need the square. If I have this escape square with the king, I'm just not worried at all about any sacrifices. It would just be too much material. So that's what I played, and now I really own the d-file. Like, this is never, black is never going to be able to contest this. Bishop e6. So reasonable move, and this bishop became pretty annoying. And my plan now was basically just, okay, still have to keep an eye on any like sacks, because you have, for example, if queen f6, then the threat of bishop takes, g takes, and then queen takes like is a tactic. But I wanted to get rid of this bishop. That was my only plan, was to get rid of that bishop, because then it's a really easy win. This rook's also kind of giving me some trouble. So after some thinking here, I realized that I could actually not raid away here, but eventually taking b7 would actually work. And actually a bunch there. So I played b3 because he could think to play bishop c4 here, and I didn't love that. And I thought, well, what if I just go for like b3 and then c4, and then kind of restrict some of those squares, take those away from the rook, and also just put some pawns on light squares, since my opponent's bishop is on light squares. And I kind of own all these squares too. Like, he can't really go here because I would just push. So that's what I did. b3, boom. Rook b8. And here I could have, I was looking at this, I could have actually taken, no, I can't. It's a blunder. Good thing I didn't. I was just looking at this. So takes, check, and then forcing the queens off. But wow, this, what am I missing? What? Queen takes d8. Oh, I'm sorry. No, that's ridiculous. That literally just blunders a piece. I don't know what I was. Well, thankfully I didn't play that move. Rook g5. I slide the king over to f1. Let's just, you know what? Get out of all of this. Black's only threat and his only idea, I'm just going to eliminate it. Just scoot the king over. You want to take, go ahead. There's no threats here whatsoever. There's just nothing. Yeah, there's nothing. I can just tuck my king away on e2, and he's like really safe there. So king f1, queen f6, and I was glad that most all of my opponent's moves I predicted. I was trying to, calculate my opponent's best moves. It's very important to do that in chess. Makes it easier to play prophylactically, to anticipate, and so that's what I did. I saw that queen f6 is probably a good move, trying to control some of these dark squares, hitting the rook on a1, so it makes it hard for me to move this rook. I played queen d4. There's no way for the rook to Nothing to attack me. I'm just saying, hey, you want to trade? Because if you trade, then I'm doing great here. And nope, I'm not going to let you have all the dark squares. I want to control all the squares. I want the light squares and I want the dark squares. And I'm not going to let the queen have the dark squares. Queen back d7. So that was like a minor win there. And then took another think here and played bishop g4. I just really wanted to get rid of this bishop. Like, I just wanted to take away black's chances, because you can see, guys, he's making it really hard to infiltrate down on the d file. I can't go here because the rook covers that. I can't go here because the bishop covers that. So, like, it just makes it harder to make plans, at least for me. I just decided, look, let's just force the bishops off here. Even if it doubles my pawns, I don't really care. White is still totally fine. He still cannot contest the d file. He can't even slide the rook over. That rook's dangerously close to getting trapped, actually. I was looking at some lines where I tried to trap the rook. But anyways, h takes c5. This move looked a little bit off to me. And then, although it is tempting kind of to go queen d7, it doesn't really do anything, actually. It looks nice to put a queen on the d file. Or on the 7th rank, but like, it doesn't really do anything. And on the contrary, I think it actually would be a mistake. Let me just see here. Oh, actually, computer likes it. I was worried about stuff like this. Like, okay, now, whoops, what am I missing here? Something hanging? F4. Okay, so the rook would be trapped. It is a little bit scary here, but the rook would be trapped. But I did not want to go into a tactical game. That's exactly what my opponent would want, because he knows he's a pawn down. If we just trade everything, play at the end game, I'm probably winning that end game. It was clear that my opponent was trying to find tricky tactical moves, kind of complicate the situation. So I figured, you know what, here, no, I don't want to let black get anywhere near my king and, you know, make me have to think. I was down on time at this point. So I just went queen f4, which is the best move. Why? Because, well, it hits both of black's rooks. It guards all the dark squares. It stops queen f6. I still control the d file. And it just looks good to me. I don't know. So rook e8. I actually thought for a second I was winning a piece here. I thought I was forking the rooks, but I totally missed that. Yeah, you could just play that. Also, he had... nope, that wasn't possible either. Anyways... another thing here, I wanted to be careful, rook c3, just wanted to be careful that I wasn't like blundering any huge thing. You know, one blunder in a position like this costs you the game. You're pretty much over with. So I wanted to be careful. I decided rook c3, there's no forks. Like, I was looking at one of these moves here that was very tempting. I think it was rook d6. Yeah, so like rook d6 I was looking at, and thank God I didn't play it, because you guys can see it's a mistake, and black is already equalized because of... yeah, rook takes g4, so he wins the pawn. And he takes over the d file. Well, I can play this, but still, I just give away a free pawn. So I opted against that and thought, okay, rook c3, there's no way for him to attack this rook, no way for him to attack my queen, and I'm getting ready to double up. And if he goes here, I'll just take it. So he goes anywhere else, I'm trading queens, which is what he did. So probably not the best move. When you're down material, trading is usually not the best move, but at the same time, I understand it's not so easy to find plans. So queen e4, I had a little bit of a think there, but then took it. F3, this is protected. Let's kick the rook away and protect g4, just kind of tie everything down. And then rook a to d1, don't need to do anything about this yet. Rook slides over. I just went e4 instead of bringing the king up. I wanted to play both, but I thought e4, and wow, this looks like really solid. I'm taking a lot of squares away from those rooks. So e4, and then I was a bit worried about the move g5, and I actually want to look at this. Sorry, f5. So it doesn't look like the computer likes it. Why? E takes, let's say g takes, rook takes. I mean, yeah, there's no threats down the e file. And then what's the follow-up here? Rook d5. So yeah, okay. I don't know why I was slightly worried about that, but I definitely thought that h5 was not as good as f5. I thought, okay, well, I'm kind of undoubling my pawns here. Glad to trade one of those, and I'm not worried about the h file. We'll just scoot the king up. So I went king f2, rook hd5, rook d7, encouraging some trades. Otherwise, you know, I'm starting to infiltrate and take some pawns. b6, I grab, let's just trade rooks. I had this small moment of like, you never know 100%. Like, wait, what if this position is just drawn and I'm like trading down and making it more and more drawish? But eventually I was like, no, look, there's no way. I have to be winning here. I own the D file. My king has these beautiful dark squares to like march in. So I traded the rooks, just make it a little bit more simple. I start marching the king in. Very important. I did not want to go. King e3 is actually best. I was just like, yeah, okay, this is totally fine, I'm sure, but I don't want to give black any chances, and I just want to be a sneaky boy and go around the back door over here like this and not, you know, be afraid of f5. King e8, rook d6. This was like kind of one of the final moves that I was proud to find here. I had this idea of going here, 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 just to try to get my king in the position. And obviously if I get my king to f6 and he can't play rook d6, it's basically game over. So I wanted to put my rook here so that it took away the option for rook e6. He can't really do anything. Like, he just can't go anywhere. So rook e6 first. Sorry, rook d6 first. Rook d7. I took a second to think, just make sure, but takes. I get the king in. And I clearly have not the opposition, but I'm in the position, so white is winning. King e7 and f4 to seal the deal. f6, I go king d5. I have the pawn majority, and my king is into black's position. So if any of you are more beginners or just kind of not sure why this might be a win, it's very important for you to recognize that it is a win and how to win it. My thoughts, at least, I'm not saying this is the way, but my thoughts is that all of these pawns are locked up. Unless you made some big mistake with your pawns, there's no pass pawn over here. You don't have to worry about this, and my king can get over there. Whereas on the king side, I've got the pawn majority. I've got 3 pawns. Black has got 2 black pawns. You still have to be careful with the pawn pushes that you do, but the idea is that you're going to trade down all the pawns until there's just 1 pawn left over here. Black cannot ignore that threat. He's going to have to go after that. So you can literally just, I don't know, let's just say like something like this. Takes. Here. Well, I would just win the pawn in that case, but let's say here. So it goes like this. Takes. I could even just do this probably. I could just be like, all right, take that pawn, and you just use it as bait, right? You use the pawns as bait. He takes, and you're faster. And that is how the easy way to win this. That was my thoughts. So king d5, king d7, g4, and my opponent resigned because of that very reason. There's just nothing black can do on the next move. I'm going to play, computer wants g5. Yeah, I was looking at g5, but I also thought e5. Yeah, I was thinking I was going to play e5. Anyway, so that was the round 8 of the tournament. After this win, I am doing all right. So as of let's see, as of round 8, the highest score is 6.5, and I'm at 3. So, or I was at 3. Now I'm at 4. Probably the highest, the number 1 is going to be at 7 points or 7.5 points, maybe. Oh no, because that guy lost. So 7 points. The highest score right now, I think, is going to be 7 points. And I'll be 4. So a few wins behind. It's not too bad. And if I win tomorrow, then yeah, I'm going to be pretty happy. And even if I lose tomorrow, it's like, hey, 4 out of 9. I think that's better than I did in the Bois de Colombes tournament. So